There are moments, those small moments, when everything just seems to slow down. And in those moments, something wonderful happens. It's like a deepening, a quiet shift, where the rushing, the need to speak, the urge to get your points across just fades away. It's almost as if time itself becomes flexible, stretching out, creating space for something more meaningful, something that feels rich. And in that space, you might notice that what matters the most, it's not so much what you say, but how you listen. Noticing how the other person speaks, the pauses between their words, the way their voice dances with emotions. In those moments, the more you listen, the more you truly hear. And as you hear, a sense of understanding grows, deeper than you ever imagined, effortlessly. Just imagine, that when you engage with curiosity, truly fascinated by the person in front of you, something magical happens. You begin to discover more than just words. You begin to discover their world. And the more you discover, the more the connection deepens, as if the very rhythm of the conversation shifts into something smooth, flowing, and natural. You've probably noticed how, in the past, when you've rushed to speak, it's almost as if the conversation speeds up, becoming disjointed, a little chaotic. But when you pause, when you take a breath, something changes. A shift occurs, where you no longer are pushing the conversation forward, but you're simply following it, like a leaf floating gently down a stream, effortlessly moving with the current. And what's fascinating is, as you shift your attention, as you allow your curiosity to lead you, something inside you aligns. It's like the universe whispers, slow down, pay attention, let the other person's energy guide the way. You begin to notice, the more present you are, the more engaged, the deeper the connection grows. It's as if each question you ask opens a door to deeper understanding, to deeper rapport. And when that rapport is built, when that connection is made, when you can feel that bond, it's almost like a dance. You might notice your words begin to flow effortlessly, naturally, at the perfect pace, just right for the moment. It's as though the conversation no longer feels like a race, but a graceful exchange of ideas, desires, dreams, and beliefs. You might even realize, when you stop trying to get your points across, the other person feels freer to express their truth. As you patiently, genuinely listen, they feel understood. And in that understanding, the conversation naturally deepens, becomes more intimate, more meaningful. And as you engage in this flow, this dance of connection, you might notice how your own truths, they naturally come to the surface. You begin to speak not from a place of urgency, but from a place of wisdom, where your words, when spoken, resonate deeply. Your truths now land with greater impact, because they come from a place of genuine curiosity, genuine interest, and in that space everything unfolds. Isn't it interesting how, when you shift the pace, when you allow the connection to deepen naturally, your own insights, your own wisdom, becomes more powerful, more persuasive, without needing to rush, without needing to push. It's almost as if by slowing down, by focusing more on the other person, you've created the perfect conditions for your words to be heard, for the connection to grow. And it's as if the more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. You simply trust, when you're present, when you're engaged, the conversation flows naturally. And you know in the deepest part of yourself, the more you give, the more you receive. That the more you listen, the more you understand. And the more you understand, the deeper that connection becomes. So now, in this very moment, you might find yourself smiling, not because you have to, but because you've realized, perhaps for the first time, that there's no need to rush, no need to push. In this moment, all that's required is to be, and the rest will unfold. And as you allow this understanding to settle in, like a gentle wave, you notice something. The more you embrace curiosity, the more you focus on the other person's world, the more naturally you create that connection. It's as if the very act of being present, of allowing the conversation to evolve naturally, brings you closer, deeper to everything that you truly desire in those moments. And as you feel this deepening connection, you might find yourself wondering how all of this has always been available to you, just waiting for the right moment, this shift in awareness. And now you've experienced it, you realize you've already begun to change. Your approach, your understanding, your conversations, they're all shifting. And the beauty is, every time you do this, it becomes easier, more natural, more automatic. And you can feel it deep down, the richness of connection, the power of curiosity, and the magic of slowing down, as it creates space for truth to flow effortlessly. Because sometimes there's a quiet moment when you begin to realize something you've known all along, yet only now you're beginning to see with clarity. It's almost like you've been walking through a thick fog, not quite sure where you're going, and then suddenly the fog lifts, and in that moment you understand. You realize, when you don't rush, when you simply allow the conversation to unfold naturally, something shifts. It's subtle, but it's unmistakable. You begin to see, in those moments of slowing down, you open a doorway to a richer connection. A connection that doesn't need to be forced, doesn't need to be hurried. You might notice how, when you truly listen, the other person's words, they seem to take on a deeper meaning, as if each word is a clue to something more profound, something worth exploring. And the more you explore, the more you uncover. It's as if you found a treasure map, leading you to the desires, their dreams, their unspoken truths. And as you listen more deeply, something fascinating happens. The connection deepens naturally, not because you try, but because you allow it. It's almost as if your willingness to slow down invites them to do the same. And isn't it interesting how, when they feel truly heard, when they feel understood, their words begin to flow more freely, and the conversation takes on a life of its own. At a deeper level, you realize this isn't just about listening, it's about understanding, not just their words, but the meaning behind them. Imagine for a moment that each word spoken is like a pebble dropped into a still pond. At first the pebble creates a small ripple, but then the ripples spread wider and wider, touching every part of the pond. And just like that, each question you ask, each moment of curiosity, creates ripples in the conversation, deepening the connection, expanding the flow. And perhaps you've noticed before how when you've rushed to speak, there was often a sense of misalignment, as if the conversation became fragmented, less connected. But now, when you listen with presence, when you engage with genuine curiosity, you notice how everything aligns perfectly. There's a sense of ease, of natural flow. It's as if the conversation no longer needs to be pushed. It simply happens. It's a rhythm, a dance, where each step is taken with awareness, with intuition. You begin to understand at a deeper level that this patience, this presence, it's not something you do, it's something you are. When you engage with curiosity, when you shift your attention from speaking to listening, your energy begins to shift too. It's like a subtle reorientation, where your entire being aligns with the present moment, with the person in front of you. And as this alignment deepens, the connection grows. And what's fascinating, what's truly remarkable, is when you focus on the other person. When you're fully engaged with them, you notice your words come more easily. You might find, instead of thinking about what you want to say next, you're simply responding from a place of clarity, responding with a depth of insight that feels natural, effortless. It's almost as if you've become a channel, allowing the conversation to flow through you with ease and with grace. And the beauty of this is, you might find, the more you practice this, the more it becomes second nature. It's as if you're beginning to retrain your mind, to reprogram your responses. So your default mode becomes one of curiosity and presence. Over time, this shift becomes automatic. You no longer have to consciously remind yourself to slow down. It happens naturally because you've installed this new way of being, this new belief system at an unconscious level. What's even more profound is, as this new way of being takes root within you, you begin to notice the relationships you create, the conversations you have. They feel richer, more meaningful. It's as if every conversation is an opportunity to connect, to build something real, something lasting. And in that space, your words, your truths, they carry more worth, more resonance, because they're grounded in understanding, in presence, in patience. You might even find, over time, your understanding of others, it deepens in ways that surprise you. It's as if you begin to see beyond the surface, to hear not just the words, but the intentions behind them, the needs, the desires, the dreams that are hidden just beneath the surface. And with each new layer you uncover, the connection grows stronger. The bond becomes unbreakable, because it's rooted in understanding, in trust, and in a shared rhythm. And now, as you let this new understanding settle in, deep within, you might notice the more you practice this, the more you become it. You are the patient listener, the curious explorer, the one who sees and hears beyond the surface. And as you embody this new way of being, you begin to realize something extraordinary. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you listen, the more you understand. The more you engage with curiosity, the deeper the connection becomes. So in this very moment, as you continue to relax and to breathe, you might feel a quiet sense of confidence settling in. Not the kind of confidence that comes from rushing to speak or needing to be heard, but the kind of confidence that arises from knowing you're enough, simply by being present. You might even begin to realize the most profound connections happen, not when you're speaking your truth, but when you're allowing others to share theirs. And in that space, your truth naturally comes forward. Isn't it fascinating how by slowing down, by listening with full presence, by allowing the conversation to unfold naturally, the world seems to open up in ways you never imagined. And as you continue to practice this, you'll notice something remarkable happening inside of you. You begin to trust this process. You begin to trust. The more you engage, the deeper the connection will grow. You might even realize, when you're curious, when you're fully present, the conversation doesn't just deepen, it becomes effortless. And in that effortless flow, you create something powerful, something real. Now, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, you may notice the automatic shift that occurs. You may even smile just a little, as you realize you don't need to rush to be heard. You don't need to hurry to share your truth. Instead, you can simply be, listen, question, explore, and trust the connection will deepen, naturally, effortlessly, in its own time. And in that space, your words, your wisdom, become more impactful, more resonant, because you're no longer forcing the connection. You're allowing it to unfold. You're no longer trying to speak the truth. You're allowing the truth to emerge naturally, in response to the other person's world. And with that, every conversation becomes an opportunity to engage, to connect, to deepen, and to experience the magic that arises from simply slowing down, from listening deeply, and from allowing your connection with others to grow and to evolve in ways you never imagined.